I'll do a
Just going to do a preliminary scan. Just doing a wee scan of the crowd, the Butler reunion crowd.
Okay, everybody. Sorry, we're not going to have the speaker on the sound because the wrong plug we can't quite find. So we can all sit up and listen nicely. Sure. This is really a treat to have the three butlers speak for us and share of where we all come from, really, and some stories. But when it's happening, think of some things that you can remember Grandma and Granddad, or heard of other stories. If you want to share, there's a chance at the end to do that as well. So, and we'll just, and then we're going to have a prayer time at the end, which Chris, Janice, and Mark are going to cover as for the families. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. We are going to have family photos, of course. Oh, we've got the cake as well, which we can't forget. Yeah, family photos, but we'll wait till Grace has her nap and joins us. So we'll do that. That'll let her tummy settle and a nudge for the photo. Right. So yeah, I'm just going to let Uncle Noel start. And thank you for the time you'll put in, Uncle Noel, and Auntie Jean and Mum to follow. And we'll enjoy what's shared.
Thank you, Mark, and Paul, and the members of the family. Can you hear me in the back row?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I've got this funny sort of illness, and sometimes my mind goes fuzzy, so if I start talking nonsense, then just all have a snooze or something. After dinner speaking is always marvellous, because you just put your audience to sleep, then you have a snooze yourself, and everybody's happy. I wonder if anybody knows who was the first butler. Anybody know? You won't find it in here. Jordan.
Mr. Butler.
Mr. Butler. Yeah, what was his name?
Mr. Butler.
I'll give you a clue. He was a man with a many-coloured coat.
Joseph!
Joseph, that's right. First butler of Egypt. And that was the beginning of the butlers. And you'll find that in quite a number of the older translations. Yeah. Anyway, the butlers also have a war chant of their own. Do you know what it is? It is Abu. Abu. Okay? Can you do that? Abu. Excellent. Abu. Yes. And when I'm talking, if you get bored, then you just say boring, and then you say not.
Boring.
Not. Well done, guys. You should have two pieces of paper, because I was asked to share a little bit of my research that I've been doing. On the one, it's called Our Ancestors, and it's got lots of pictures. The other has got lots of, and most of these pictures will be up here. And the other has got a pedigree chart for myself. But the chart is exactly the same if you replace my name with Nari or Jean's. Okay, Jean or Nari's. It becomes exactly the same. So I'm just going to go backwards a bit. We could start, I think, with Mum and Dad wedding. And that was held in Knox Church in Dunedin on the 21st of December 1938. Okay, so that's a little while ago. 21st December 1938 in Knox Church, Dunedin. In those days, when you wanted to get married, you went in and the minister says to you, okay, these will be the hymns that you have, and this is the time you've got to be there, and make sure you've got the wedding license and bring it to me a week before, and I'll take £5 now. That's about $400 or $500. and that was it. Yeah, quite different from today. Anyways, Dad, whose name is Benjamin, which he didn't like, which means son of the right hand, and he was always known as Ben Butler. Then he was born in Aberdeen, Scotland, on the 23rd of January 1906. And they came to New Zealand around about 1921 or 1922. We'll talk a little bit more about him later, but I'll talk a wee bit now. Dad wanted to go to sea like his father, to be a fisherman like his father, but his mother, who was known as Granny Butler, she wouldn't let him do that. So he tried different occupations here in New Zealand, and unfortunately, ones that he was best at, he wasn't able to carry on with because he had a very sore back, and he was working with bronze, with brass, making things for big engines, train engines. Okay. We'll go to the next picture, I think. We've got to watch that I don't get too long here. Okay, this is our grandfather, your great-grandfather, and your great-great-grandfather, Ben Butler. And that photo is taken in Aberdeen. There were 5 in the family. It was Uncle George, Uncle Ed, Uncle Bob, and Dad, Benjamin, and Auntie Jessie, okay? And they were the ones who all moved to Dunedin. Any questions? Okay, we'll go back. Next one, thank you. This photo is taken in Aberdeen, or on the edge of Aberdeen, and they used to go there for picnics, and it's called Pursley Dean. For those who are older, then this is a cousin named Jean Gordon, and then there is also Auntie Jean here, and Granny Butler here, with Dad sitting on Granny Butler's knee. Okay, we can move to the next one. This is another photo of the family in Aberdeen. Granny Butler and Granddad Butler and the children, and here's the youngest one, Ben. Now, Granny Butler during the First World War had her husband and her 2 oldest sons all involved in the war. And that was a very trying time for her and the family. I'll talk a wee bit more about that later. Because this is Anzac Day, isn't it? A time when we remember people who died in the war. Any questions? Okay, next one. Okay, this is the same people, only they got a bit older now. For those who know, this is a Patricia Graham's 21st, taken in about, I think, 1958. And so this one here is Uncle George, the eldest, Uncle Ed, the next, Uncle Bob, Auntie Jessie, and our dad. On this
I
side.
could say then, Uncle George never married.
Oh no, Uncle George didn't marry. No, he's a bachelor all his life. Uncle Ed did, with 3 children. Uncle Bob with 3. Go back. Yeah. And his son has got Butler Berry Farms at Uncle Bob's at Waimati. If you ever want a good feed, then call in there. That's Donald and Auntie Jessie married Jack Graham, and they have 1 daughter, Patricia, and she lives in Dunedin. Thank you, Dakes. Here we go. We're going back now a generation, and this man is my grandfather, your great-grandfather, or great-great-grandfather for you guys, yep. And his name is Edmund Artist Butler. And he was born in Great Yarmouth in Norfolk, England. And Auntie Rosemary and I, we visited where he was, the street he was born in. You can't find the house because in those days houses didn't have any number on them. They only had the street because everybody knew where everybody lived, even in quite a big town. Great Yarmouth is a fishing town, and so he became a fisherman. Excuse me. A lot of the fishermen in Great Yarmouth went to Aberdeen, and a lot from Aberdeen came down to Great Yarmouth. And there were so many fishing boats in Great Yarmouth that in the big river there, the Yar River, then when all the fishing boats were in, you never had to go over a bridge. You just walked over the fishing boats across the river. And on Sunday, you always knew which boats were owned by Scottish people from Scotland and which were English. Because the English boats were out fishing and the Scottish boats, they never fished on a Sunday. It's interesting. If anybody's interested, I've got a very, very good historical video on Herring is King in Great Yarmouth. It's excellent. Okay. Well, his was a fishing boat, so we'll go on where he's fishing. That's not him fishing. Thank you. Next one. Excuse me. This is the trawler that he fished on. And he was captain of. It's called the Loch Navar. Can you say that? Loch Navar or Loch Navar, depending on which way you want to pronounce it. Okay? And it was quite a modern boat because it had a steam engine, not just sails. I'll go on. The next one. This is him with his fishing crew, 12 of them. And this is our grandfather here. The man behind the man with the dog.
Did they take the dog out on the boat?
Yep, I think they would take the dog on the boat. Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he was fishing out of Aberdeen, not out of Yarmouth. Okay, we'll move on a bit. Next one. When the First World War came along, then all the small fishing boats in England and Scotland were requisitioned, that is, they were taken over by the government, and they all became military vessels. And so our grandfather is here, and he's now a captain in the Royal Navy Reserve. Okay? And so his boat became a minesweeper, and it went into the Mediterranean, and it went up north in the Mediterranean, almost to the capital of Greece. Who knows what the capital of Greece is? Yes.
No.
You said Athens, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Oh. You nearly got a prize. Just missed out. And there it was blown up by a torpedo from a German submarine. So they were all lost at sea. They all died. I've got the, and that was on the 13th of May 1918.
Just before the end of the war.
Beg pardon?
Just before the end of the war.
Just before the end of the war, that's right, yeah. So he didn't come back. Fortunately for Granny Butler, her 2 sons came back, so, yeah. So I managed to discover the exact coordinations where the boat went down, because a lighthouse keeper spotted some wreckage, and they got the location of the wreckage. And if my health had been good enough, I would have liked to have gone there and put a wreath where they'd sunk, because none of the family have ever been.
Where is that?
It's not far from Athens. I'll find out for you, Judy. I haven't got it memorised just a moment. Not the coordinations.
How old was he, Mark?
We'll have a look on here. Who was that? Nigel.
Yep.
He was born in 1973 and he died in 1918, so we'll wait for you to tell us how old he was. That's another. These handouts are not for nothing.
45.
Yeah, about 45, yeah. That's right. Yeah, cool. Good one. Okay, go on to the next one. This is our grandmother Butler and her sister. And Auntie Jessie, rather. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Grandma Butler and her sister and her daughter, Jessie. And we'll go down one more. I think when they came out to New Zealand, then they came out, Uncle Ed came out first, and there were cousins in Dunedin. And he came and stayed with these cousins, and then he organised for the rest of the family to come out. And we've got a menu here, but we don't know whether this was the rest of the family or whether it was just Uncle Ed's. I've yet to find out which ship they came out on. Whichever it was, it's a lovely feed. Can you read it? It's Monday's dinner is gravy soup, stewed tripe and onions, roast mutton, peas and potatoes, and for dessert, prunes and custard. That's real good, isn't it?
Good healthy stuff.
Yeah. And
Keep you right.
And if Dad's stories are true, then that was Tuesday's menu and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. Yeah. Okay. And this is the other ones came out on this other ship called the Corinthian. And they got this certificate to say they had crossed the equator. And therefore, on the 1st of March 1922. Okay, but again, it hasn't got a name on it, unfortunately. Yeah. Know what the equator is? It's the fat part around here. It's the middle, that's right, the middle of the globe. Yeah. Okay, we can go on a little bit. Now, we've looked a little bit at Edmund Artis Butler, our grandfather, who was on the ships, and our grandmother was Jessie Rennie Rigby. Okay? Let me just have a look. Yeah. This was our grandmother's parents, and their names were, he was Rigby, George Rigby, and her name was Jane Colley. George Rigby and Jane Colley died before our grandmother was married. So she didn't have her mother when she got married. And George Rigby, he was a gun maker, used to make guns in Aberdeen. It must have been quite a wild city, because, and probably still is because of the oil. But there was a lot of slaves sold out of Aberdeen in the 19th century and earlier 18th century. So later on in life, then this chap took a girlfriend, and I think they lived together, and he was in charge of a hall. And I'm not sure what happened in the hall. It was some kind of dance hall. So I found out when I was in Aberdeen. You'll see that they got pretty flash clothes on. Yeah, quite flash. Yeah. Okay, we move on one thing. That's just so you can see the whole of her dress. Jane Colley's. For the ladies, us guys are not interested in dresses, are we? You're not. Oh, sorry, you're not like that. You are. Oh, cool. Okay, we'll move on. Okay. What have we got to here? Now, we go over to my mother's side, Nina, Catherine, Martha, Butler, Nee Watson, and this is my mother's mother, grandmother, that's her there. So that's quite an old photo, and along with her is her mother here, whose name was Catherine, Curry, and this is Bridget. No, this is Bridget. That's the mother, Catherine Curry, and that Curran, and that's the grandmother, Bridget. Hard to get all these in place, isn't it? Bridget doesn't appear on here. Any questions? We're getting back far enough? Right, we'll go on to another one. Go back. What are you laughing at?
I'm not sure, but it's making me laugh.
Yeah. He used to say, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Yes. This is George Watson, and I've got a photo of him as a younger man as well. He was married in 1870. No, George Watson. He was born in Northern Ireland at a place called Ballymoney, and he died in Oamaru, down south, in 1924. And he worked at Waipori at the beginning, when he first came to New Zealand via Australia. And then from Waipori, he went to Oamaru, where he was a miner. What is that mine, Jean, in Oamaru? Limestone.
Quarry.
Anyway, he was setting gelignite and blew it up, and he lost his sight in the mine explosion. So that's why he's got the glasses on.
Oh.
And my mother and her sisters were very naughty to him when he came down, because in those days the toilet used to be way down the end of the garden. And it was hard for him because he was blind to find his way to the toilet. So Nana Watson used to put up a string so he could follow the string to the toilet. And you know what those girls did?
What moved it?
They cut the string. Oh, you wouldn't do that, would you?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, would.
They hid in the bushes.
I hid in the bushes.
Yeah, watched.
And watched them cut it.
Yes, and watched them cut it. Well, they were naughty in those days, I can tell you. See the nice walking stick he's got? It's much better than my one. See the nice walking stick? Okay. Then we'll go on to the next one. That's him as a young man, before he was blinded. Fine looking man. And then on again. This is the other side of the family was the Angus side. That's the other side of the Watson family. And this one is Nana Watson's father, William Longman Angus. Okay, and William Longman Angus came from Edai and Whare in the Orkney Islands. So he came a long way to get to New Zealand. In the Orkney Islands. And again, he was in Oamaru. Okay, some of you have been in Oamaru, haven't you? Lived there. That's right. That's right. And I'm not sure what he did in Oamaru. Does anybody know? Because I haven't found that out yet. Okay. And he was married to Catherine Curran. We go on? I think I've got a photo of her. Oh, I haven't got one. We had one of her earlier. Now, this here goes back even further, way back. And it's a diamond wedding of Daniel and Elizabeth Watson. It's a paper report. And I'm going to read what's on here because it's a bit hard to read. It reads like this. Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Watson of Glenkirk, that's quite near Glasgow in Scotland, have just celebrated their diamond wedding amidst a large gathering of family and friends. The old couple, who are looking remarkably well, have had 15 sons and daughters. Now, I'm not sure if that means they had 15 sons and 15 daughters, or if they had 15 altogether. But they had 15 sons and daughters, 11 of whom are living. 71 grandchildren and 10 great-grandchildren. That was quite a few grandchildren, wasn't it? Yeah. After supper, Mr. Shepherd of Gainkirk the Reverend Mr. Shepherd made a few appropriate remarks and hoped the old couple would be spared to their children for many years to come. Dancing was then commenced and kept up until the morning. They danced all night. Now, our mother used to tell us when she went to dances in Dipton, in Southland, then the dances would last all night. And they would get home just at daybreak, in the wintertime this was, the balls. And the first thing they did was take off their dancing clothes, put on their old clothes, and blacken the lead range, the coal range. You had to blacken it once a week, you see, to make it look nice and pretty, and you had to do it while it was cold. So blacken the coal range, then get it going and make breakfast. No sleep all night. Too busy dancing. Dancing was then commenced and kept up to the morning. Mr. and Mrs. Watson came from Northern Ireland to Gainkirk some 30 years ago and are well known and much respected. The aged couple, no longer the old couple, but the aged couple, were presented with a purse of money. Yeah, and I think that's a tradition we should keep up.
Dancing.
Till dawn. If you do that, we'll give you some money.
It's a purse of money.
We'll give you the money.
It's a purse of money we should keep up. Okie dokes. We'll go over here. Now we're coming a bit more modern. This is 1941, and this is Granny Butler and myself. What are you laughing at? Right, we'll go to the next one. And this is our father, Ben Butler, and myself. Sorry that I'm in a few of these. Okay, next one. And our mother, and this is myself, and Jean and Tenari. Do you know any of those ones? You do? Yes. Oh, good one. You all know them. Yep. Okay, that's about 1942. And these ones about 1945, I think, with myself and Jean, and Jean's nursing Nari.
I hope they're after that. I was born in 46.
46?
43.
Oh, well. I have to change that then. 1948. Thank you. We'll go to the next one. Yeah. This is in Dunedin, and that's my father and myself and Granny Butler and Auntie Nari, Grandma Nari, Mum Nari. Okay, walking along the street. In those days, we were often street photographers. Yeah. Okay. Now here we go. Here's a fine trio. I don't know who they are.
Someone's pouting.
The one in the back, I think it's
She was made to hold a milk bucket while we get invited in front. And she didn't have one, so Mum gave her a milk bucket to hold. Wouldn't come right.
I don't tell those sort of stories.
And I can't remember it. So.
Yeah, well, it mightn't even be true.
No.
No. We'll move on. Now, this is my grandmother Watson, Nana Watson, and Pop Watson, and this was their golden wedding in 1952. They'd been married for 50 years. And the next one is all their grandchildren. had 26 grandchildren, and there are 24 grandchildren there, and Pop and Nana. And that was held at Lumsden, some of you will remember. And we had a reunion years later in Lumsden. You don't want me to go through all those names, do you? No.
No, please don't.
Please don't. No. You can see your mother there, can't you? You can't see your mother.
Grandma, can you find Nana? Nana?
No.
Oh no, Nana. Yeah.
I'm going to point out
Who's
No.
that?
Where's Nana?
there's an old Norian.
Well, that's me up the top up there, hiding. And I can't see very well up there.
Yeah.
Oh yes, there we go.
Across beside Dana.
Yep.
Across beside Dana.
Over here.
Yeah,
Those four photos.
half a jacket.
Who's that?
Yep, there we are.
That's Nori.
Jean and myself. Yeah, with all our cousins. Okay, all the Watson cousins. Go on a bit, yeah. Now, when we finished living in the country areas, then we moved to Gore, and this is the Gore Primary School tennis team, and that's myself there in the tennis team. Okay. We won a few things. Thanks. We'll just go through these quickly. And then Gore High School. I had 2 years at high school. And this is myself here and the Gore athletics team, high school athletic team, and my cousin Ian Watson. Yeah. Those of you who are Southland farmers may know Brian Mason, the vet. That's Brian Mason. And this guy, Colin Knox, was the brightest guy ever to gone through Gore up until then. And he was killed in a climbing accident in the European Alps, in the Swiss Alps, while he was at Cambridge University doing a doctorate in physics.
Wow.
Okay. This guy here was a guy Henderson, one of the wildest guys in the school. McLennan, he was the policeman at Wyndham for years. You know?
Did you know Mark?
McLennan. That was his surname.
Are you asleep?
Murray Speeden was a dentist, and he held the New Zealand junior javelin record for about 20 years, or maybe more. It was brilliant. And then he got arthritis in his limbs. Okay, move on. Enough for Gore High School. Now you'll see some nice ones. Oh, look at that. Here we go. Anybody see, who's this?
Someone.
Grandma?
Antonori,
Auntie
Nana,
Nori.
Jean.
Jean, yeah, like Jean. Granddad Butler, Grandma Butler, and somebody. Okay, next one. There's another one of the same outfit. Mum and Dad, Jean and Nari and myself and Gore. These are all the 4 shots. Okay, next one. When Pop Watson died, then the family put a small house on our land in Gore, and Nana Watson lived there. And she was quite a trick. Apart from getting dressed up and carrying a Bible for church, one of the things she did was, that I can remember clearly, was that my mum and dad, went on holiday one time. So Nana was in her house batching, and I was batching. You girls must have been on holiday too. And I was batching in our house. And so I got up one morning about 7 o'clock and wandered out in the garden. And here was Nana Watson poked her head up over the hedge and said, "Where have you been?" I said, "Oh, I've been sleeping. Where have you been?" She said, "Oh, I'm working." So the next morning, I got up at 6:30, and she poked her head over the fence at about 7:15 and found me working in the garden. So the next morning, then I got up and got out in the garden at 6:30, and she poked her head over the hedge, and she was in the garden. I thought, I'm not going any further with this. That was a great holiday. that's when I stopped taking milk in my tea, because to get the milk you had to go up the driveway about 50 metres. But to go to work you just went out the side. So I thought, there's no reason why I should be wandering away up that driveway to get some milk. I'll just knock off having milk in my tea. So I did. Never taken milk and tea since. Yeah. Right, next one. Just about finished, I think. Is that the end? Okay, cool. Thank you very much indeed. Now, as I said, if anybody's interested, then I've got that, a lot of information on computer at home in boxes. Also, over on the table, which I may or may not have mentioned, there's a coat of arms of the city of Aberdeen, which the family brought out to New Zealand when they came from Aberdeen. And there are 2 little postcards that Uncle George sent to Dad from France during the time of the war. And he addresses them to Benny. He used to call Dad Benny. Pass them around here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now it's time. Thank you very much indeed. Okay,
All right. Thank you, Uncle Noel.
we'll pass over.
Pass the Maria. Pass
To the important people
would you
now.
like to take the seat?
Oh,
Well, it's obviously getting video because Judy's going to. No, don't swing around here. Judy will put it on a disc for us, and hopefully we can put the photos of today, and they can be passed around families, and you can take a copy of them as you wish. Rather than be too complicated, we'll just give one to each family, and then you can spread them out as you wish. So, yeah. So I know the seat is there. It's easier if you do use the seat and then the camera's there. Underneath, that's okay. That'd be lovely.
I've been through my purse about 3 times. I can't find my reading glasses, so I don't know what I'll...
They're in the box here.
you can never find your reading.
No, I can't.
Not these ones.
Yeah, that's them.
In the box he bought out.
You found them.
Yay!
Yay!
Mum,
Yes?
talk really loudly for the video camera because it doesn't pick up.
Well, I'm told I have a small group voice, so how will I do that?
I can hold those with the
Do you want the pointer?